So, thank you, Nick. Thank you, Ms. Tammy, for that wonderful history lesson of the Southeast White House. And being a part of this family, Ms. Tina recruited me maybe 20 plus years ago, and I was happy to learn that the mentors was getting paid because I didn't. So we didn't know. We just came up here. We work with kids at Sousa. We work with kids in the neighborhood. We work with kids in Terrace. And we all just did it because I felt like maybe we felt still connected to that population. We were still pretty young professionals, young black men, and excited about making a difference. And the house, even before I got into the depth and strength of my faith, the house had always been a place of belief and value and faith. And God has always been in this house. And the work that this house has always done and its volunteers has always been kind of Christian and faith-based, sort of biblical in some regards to the people that you run into in this house. So it's a really blessed house. The neighborhood is blessed to have it. I'm blessed to be a part of the family. I'm really thankful. How I ran into Ms. Tina, I don't really know. I think I saw something on TV or Councilmember Chavis told me. That's how we met? Councilmember Chavis. Okay, so I got right involved, and I live right down the street on 2900 block of Nelson Place, which is the origin story, right? How did I get involved? How did I come to be in this place 20 years later, 2 decades or so later? By organizing young people, right? We living on the 2900 block of Nelson Place at the corner of Minnesota Avenue, behind the O'Connor's liquor store, behind More Rust Seafood. Very early on, when More Rust was just getting started, they was trying to figure some things out. They had an issue with how they disposed their seafood. And those summers wasn't kind. There were rats. You could see them moving. You could smell the stench from the seafood, plus the liquor store. And for those who know in this area, the fight that we fought with the liquor stores, all the liquor stores in this area, and putting them on volunteer agreements and changing the way they do business. Some of the legislation that we pushed forward was to reduce single sales, to make sure that the liquor stores use bags, appropriate bags, that the liquor stores didn't have all the advertisements of the malt liquor and all that on the windows, really cleaning up the liquor stores and really making them become more community-centric, even though they didn't live here, becoming more community-centric and becoming more invested in the community. So when we started doing organizing the young people in the neighborhood, we started doing block parties, we started doing cleanups. And when it started, it was just me, right? So I'm used to being the leader of doing something that is different, that is challenging of the status quo, that is uncomfortable for many people. But just coming outside my house and picking up the trash, sweeping the curb, which is funny because it's what we do all the time in Hillcrest. It's like normal. It's like coming from Nelson Place to be in Hillcrest where that is normal, and then trying to make something normal in a community where people had a mindset that we don't have to do that here. We live here in the Southeast, and this is how it is, and this is how it's gonna always be. And I kind of wonder if I was one of the early gentrifiers, right? With care and concern. Like, I didn't want to move people away. I wanted everybody to be a part of a value system that I had, that we are entitled and we deserve to live in the best that we can have, and that the District of Columbia government is responsible for that. And they have resources so that we could do those things, right? So when we talk about the 2900 block, we talk about community organizing, we're talking about youth organizing, right? We're talking about impacting businesses and making businesses community partners, and we're talking about holding businesses and owners accountable and using government to do so. That started 2 decades ago in ignorance. I didn't even know about ASCs I didn't know about civic associations. I didn't know about government programs. I never worked, well, I did work in the government as a lifeguard, right? So now here it is, working, working as a lifeguard as a teenager. But understanding that, man, this government has so much more for its residents, and so many residents do not understand what more they can expect and demand from their government, right? So that work in Nelson Place, that work in the neighborhood called Twining, that work on Minnesota Avenue sort of catapulted me into other opportunities to make a difference for other communities and other people. There was a story that was written by a guy named Gabriel Prasiniak in the East of the River newspaper, and he kind of highlighted the community organizing work that I was doing. And by highlighting that work, it led us to impacting the recreation center that was on 3030 G Street, which is now a brand new facility, the Joy Evans facility. 2 decades ago, we got attached to Councilmember Gray when he got elected, and we said, hey, we got these young people that say they can't use this recreation center in the Twining neighborhood. And we took young people down to the city council, and we were able to get the young people in the neighborhood to use that recreation center after program time, right? And we was like, wow, look at this, right? And this is all before getting elected as an ANC commissioner. I've served 10 years as an ANC commissioner. I've been a chairperson. I've been on a number of different boards. I've been on a number of different organizations, impact player in a number of organizations like Events DC, like the Washington Teachers Union, Fighting for Teachers. And now I serve as the president of the Hillcrest Community Civic Association. We're fighting for economic development with Skyland. We're pushing the government to release $22 million to build 126 townhomes. We're pushing the government to give us our promise of an aquatic facility at the Hillcrest Recreation Center. We secured $15 million in the budget. We're fighting to restore Winston. We got a $35 million investment from the mayor over a year ago. So we're doing the real work, and we're taking the work that other people have done and we're pushing it forward. We're not stopping and starting. We're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We're not pushing anyone out. We're just being inclusive. So you gotta wonder, well, why are you running, BJ? Well, if you didn't hear about it in that story, it's because I want to make Ward 7-1 by building bridges and connecting people to the things that they want and need so they can access the opportunities that give them the quality of life and prosperity that they are entitled to as district residents living in Ward 7, all right? And because all of you, up until this point, right, over the last 2+ decades, we are able to make a case and step into a promise and a legacy of many people who came before us. So that's why I'm running. My name is Villareal B.J. Johnson, and I'm running to make Ward 7-1 by building bridges and connecting people to the things that they want and need so they can access the quality of life and prosperity that they are entitled to as district residents living in Ward 7.